Good morning. My name is Matt McDonnell. I'm the Managing Director here at the Road Commission, and thank you for attending. This is one of three educational events for the 2025 to 2028 non-motorized millage. You're welcome to attend the others. They are Wednesday, March 13th and Thursday, March 14th. The locations are at our Southeast Service Center and Northeast Service Center. So if you would like to attend, happy to have you. But you also pass the word. On our agenda today, we have welcome and introductions, a look back over a 10-year period from 2014 to 2024, where we've been investing millage dollars into our infrastructure. We're going to talk a little bit about asset management and, of course, the 2025-28 plan, do a little Q&A, and then have some lunch. Once again, welcome. With us today, this is a joint educational event with Washtenaw County Parks and Recreation Commission. We have the director, Coy Vaughn, across from me, and to his left, Roy Townsend, County Parks Project Manager, and then Megan Bonfilio with the Deputy Director of County Parks. To my right, we have Brent Schlack, our County Highway Engineer, Director of Engineering. And then to his right, Adam Lape, our Director of Operations. So first I want to take a look at where we've been. A little history lesson for the folks that give it a little background. So in 2014, our road conditions were pretty dire. We had a lot of poor condition pavements. And so we looked at opportunities to raise funds locally, and there was this Public Act 283, and where the Road Commission put a plan together for improving roads and asked the County Board of Commissioners to levy a $0.5 mil, and that worked really well. It was levied without the vote of the county, but the Board of Commissioners were able to levy that. It was successful for 2 consecutive years. And after that period of time, the Board of Commissioners thought it best to put it before the voters in a millage proposal. So in 2016, that's what had happened. And in that millage proposal, it became roads and non-motorized millage, whereby 80% of the funds collected for that $0.5 mil would go to roads, and then 20% would go to non-motorized, and that would be administered by Washtenaw County Parks and Recreation Commission. That went before the ballot on 2016, was successful, and then again 2020 for Renew and Restore once again went on the ballot. During the 2020 election, the millage passed the Renew and Restore overwhelmingly with a 77% support. That was 140 out of 141 precincts voted yes. And we were very appreciative for that support by the voters. Just wanted to go kind of review the millage financials. So of the $0.5 mil, as I said, the revenue was split 80% goes to roads, 20% goes to non-motorized administered by County Parks. The Road Commission receives approximately $4 million a year. The cities would receive 3.1 million, and then for the non-motorized piece, 1.8, for a total of roughly $9 million. One of the staples of this millage, I feel, is that we have a plan ahead of the ballot question. And so a plan was approved, and much like this meeting, we went through and had education events and sought feedback for the current plan, which is 21 to 24. This plan has both road projects and non-motorized projects on it as a map. And we're in our last year of that plan. So we're currently in the last year of the millage. As you can see, projects throughout the county. One of the staples is any money raised in that township would get back invested in that township in various projects in various years. And here's kind of a summary of all the work that the Road Commission has been able to accomplish with these projects over the course of the last 3 years, and then this last year that we're going to accomplish this year. So we're getting work done on over 218 miles with a variety of work types. And we're going to talk about that a little later, how we choose those work types, asset management, kind of the strategies behind that. But a lot of investment being made. And as I kind of indicated previously, the Road Commission gets $4 million a year. Over a course of 4 years, that's $16 million, but we have $18 million of investment. So we're overmatching those millage dollars and investing it into the primary road network. So as I described in 2014, our road condition map, and this is a little tough to see, but the Road Commission assesses kind of the road network, and we're somewhat familiar if you've got Paiser ratings. So we'll talk about a little bit that later, but the good, fair, and the poor, over 41% of our road network in 2014 was poor conditioned. And now, and with only 20% in good condition. And that's looking back 10 years ago, but in 2023, with the help of this investment of the millage dollars, we now have flipped the script. We've got 47% of our roads in good condition, 32% in fair, and only 21% in poor. So it's almost opposite of when we started. Here's just a quick run through, an example of some of the projects we accomplished in 21. We were able to resurface Geddes Road between Dixboro and Superior, in Ann Arbor and Superior Townships. Ellsworth Road between Oak Valley Drive and State Road. Miller Road between Zeeb and Wagner and Scioto Township. In 22, Platte Road, that was a much needed project down in York Township from the city limits up to Willow Road. North Territorial Road, we were able to resurface between Mast and Napier. And then South Church Road between Shield and Zeeb. In 23, one of the big staples of the non-motorized millage is the border trail. So we used some of the millage funds to match federal dollars. I'm sure Coy and others will talk about that. But that was a big project, still underway. It's carried over in 24, but we hope to complete that this year. That's a section of the border on adjacent to Huron River Drive, east of Zeeb Road. Textile Road between Crane and Munger. And then Bemis Road in York and Pittsfield Township between Moon and Warner. With that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Coy for a little review of non-motorized projects.
Thank you, Matt. Again, I'm Coy Vaughn. I'm Director of Washtenaw County Parks, and we administer the non-motorized component of the millage. As Matt mentioned, we get approximately 1.8 million per year to put towards the non-motorized network in Washtenaw County. Of that, we put about 1.2 million into the border-to-border trail, which is actually the spine of the non-motorized network across the county, mostly in the northern tier of the county, connecting Ypsilanti, Ann Arbor to Dexter, Chelsea, and up to Stockbridge. The remainder, about 600,000 per year, we put in Connect Communities, which is a local grant program that allows us to spread the money across the entire county. So it funds a lot of the projects, especially in the southern tier of the county, that are locally important to the community. So they submit the projects to us. We have a competitive process, and we award them the grants to build locally important connections, and often connections to the border-to-border trail. that also keeps the funds pretty much proportionate to the county population, with the bulk of the population being in the northern tier of the county. So as you can see here, the amount of construction costs that we spend on both border to border and connected communities is well in excess of the money that we bring in through this millage. And that is because the popularity of trails and non-motorized, we are able to leverage for every dollar that we bring in through the millage money. Our goal is to leverage $1 of private contribution and $1 of grant money. And we so far have been able to stick pretty close to that. It varies on project by project, but we are definitely leveraging private and grant money. The grant money is in partnership with the Road Commission. They help us have access to federal dollars and state money. So far we've been pretty successful doing that. Next slide, please. So this just shows kind of the impact, which communities we've been able to allocate dollars for non-motorized projects. This slide shows both border to border trail spending and connecting communities. So there's a handful of communities you can see that have not received funding. These are typically the more rural communities, and they do not have the demand for non-motorized trails. And quite frankly, we haven't had requests from these communities in general. So we are able to spread the money across the entire county and really have an impact on the non-motorized network. So again, this is the border trail. Highlighted projects here. The circles show projects that were completed or are underway currently, 21 through 24. So as you can see, we are able to spread the money pretty much across the entire county on the northern tier, the border trail connecting these communities. And as you can see, this is also a regional network, not just a county-wide project. We're connecting up through Stockbridge, which will tie into the Lakeland Trail. The Lakeland Trail brings us all the way down through Jackson and eventually over to the west side of the state. And then on the east side, we're working to close the gap through Belleville, so we can connect to the downriver Greenway system, which will get us all the way to Lake Erie. There's already existing trails there. So really making Washtenaw County a destination for non-motorized, as well as meeting the needs of the residents of Washtenaw County. So this is just some images from some of our recent projects. We did part of the B2B was a crossing over Grove Road. That was a dangerous situation. We were able to work with the Road Commission and other partners to make that happen. Completed that in 21. Chelsea connection along M52. This has long been a goal of Chelsea and Linden Township to connect up to all the state land in Pinckney and Waterloo recreation areas. Again, the goal is to go all the way up to Stockbridge and tie into the Lakelands Trail. And then the other image is one of the many trail bridge crossings of the Huron River as we build from Dexter into the city of Ann Arbor.
All right. With that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Brent. Thank you, Coy, and talk a little about asset management.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Coy. Again, I'm Brent Schlack, the Director of Engineering here at the Road Commission. And we'll get into asset management. If you can go on to we always like to start it with a definition. So the definition for asset management is the ongoing process of maintaining, preserving, upgrading, and operating physical assets cost effectively based on a continuous physical inventory and condition assessment and investment to achieve established performance goals. So an example we always like to use is maintenance of your car. So most people own a car, and we all understand that a vehicle has a service life. And to extend that service life, we need to perform preventative maintenance, such as regularly changing your oil or rotating your tires. So we all understand that the consequences, if we don't change our oil, is we'd have to do more repair on our engine or have to buy tires more often. Or the more expensive option would be, if we don't change our oils, to replace that engine. We all know that we don't want to do that. So we treat our roadways in a similar fashion. They all have a service life, typically 20 years for a roadway. And much like our car, we want to perform preventative maintenance and help extend that service life. If you can go into the next slide. So we classify our roadways in two types of roadways. We have a primary roadway system and our local roads. So primary roads, they connect communities with other communities and our freeway system. We like to have good east-west and north-south primary road system. We have many miles of two-lane primary roads, but we also have multi-lane roads. And like in Scioto Township, we have a boulevard or Jackson Road. Our local road system, these are roadways that connect to our primary roads, and these also include our subdivision roads. Now we'll get into how we rate these roadways. We rate these through a PASER system, and that's stands for Pavement Surface Evaluation and Rating. We have trained staff that visually inspect our roadways. And we rate these on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being our best condition roadway and 1 being our worst condition. We simplify this rating into a good, fair, and poor designation. Good roadways would have a rating of 7 to 10, a fair 4 to 6, and poor 1 to 3. Our primary roads historically been inspected every 2 years, but now we inspect them every year. And we've utilized this PASER system since the 1990s. So now I'll get into the examples of each category. So a good roadway, it looks brand new. As you can see in the picture on the slide, there's little to no maintenance required. And a typical treatment we'd use on a roadway like this would be a crack seal or a chip seal. And we go to our next slide. And then we get into our fair roads. As you can see from the slide, it's oxidized or it's dried out. You can see that there's some cracks. You can see some cracks seal in there. These roadways, we typically to keep them fair, we would use a crack seal like you see in the slide or a chip seal. And then to move them from fair to good, we would use a mill and resurface type treatment. Then we go into our poor roads, our poor category, next slide. We all have this poor road that we can probably think of in our minds. These roadways, as you can see in the slide, this pavement has failed. There are potholes. We fill those with patch. We call that cold patch. There's some alligator cracking, and alligator cracking is it's a shape similar to an alligator skin. And using our asset management strategies, we wouldn't want to do any preventative maintenance type strategies on this road, like a chip seal or a crack seal, because that would be a waste of money. We would be looking at more of a pulverization or a mill and resurface for these type of roadways. So this kind of gives you a feel for how we rate our roads in either good, fair, or poor. And now get into our condition assessment in the next slide. This is our condition assessment. These are our charts. These are a bar chart. And these charts represent the number of miles on the left side, on the bottom are over the years. And these are the years that we've rated our roads, starting with 2016 and ending in 2022. So as you can see from the charts, our primary paved road system is showing a positive improvement trend. Our good roads are trending up, showing more miles of good road, and our poor roads are trending down with less miles that are rated poor. Our fair roads, they're kind of variable because we're moving some of our poor roads into our good roads, and we're taking some of those fair roads and using a treatment like crack sealing or chip seal to move them in the good category. And our poor roads, we're using the pulverization, like I mentioned before, or mill and resurface to move those into the good category. So soon I'll hand it over to Adam, and then he'll get into more of the treatments. But in order to have a positive condition assessment, it requires an investment into our roadway system. On the next slide, this is our county map, and this shows, and Matt touched on it earlier, this shows the current condition of our Paiser ratings. And as Matt explained earlier, our good roads, and as you can see, are trending in a positive manner with 47% in a good condition and 32% in fair and 21% in poor. So now I'll get into some of the challenges and a solution. I'll pass it off to Adam here shortly. So some of our challenges are just that lack of funding. So a healthy access management practice is keeping the good roads good. On occasion, we have that public perception that we're fixing the wrong road. So when do we look to fix those worst roads? So as funding is available, we'll look to do those pulverizations or mill and resurface, but those are our most expensive investments. So then we look at treatments such as chip seal or crack seal. But a lot of times we get comments, and although they're not popular in some manner, that is our strategy and our preventative maintenance practice to, again, and it's the name of the game, keeping our good roads good. So now I'll pass it off to Adam, and he'll kind of talk about our strategy and treatments in a little more detail.
All right, thank you, Brent. Adam Lape, Director of Operations here at the Road Commission. Yes, preventative maintenance, as Brent and Matt have both kind of alluded to, it's a critical piece of the puzzle for us here at the Road Commission. We don't initially fix the worst roads first. We want to develop a plan and fix the right road at the right time. An example would be our seal coat portion of our program that we perform every year. And then I'll speak a little bit here about presentation on this next slide. Crack sealing is one of the initial parts of our surface preservation, so our preventative maintenance that we do. So you can see in the picture here, our crew's performing the crack seal project, and that's within the first few years of a pavement's life. As it starts to become oxidized, to show some cracking, we try to fill those voids with the crack material. So we'll go to the next slide and actually have a nice little diagram for everybody to see here, where the top of the screen, you see the wearing course of the asphalt there, and you see that the black material is put in. That is the crack seal. That's really just to waterproof the road. That's to keep the water from getting in there and freezing and thawing and continually expanding those cracks and eventually turning them into potholes. You see a lot of that information, excuse me, that we post on our website. We talk about that through the winter, where those cracks start to become exposed and become those holes that we refer to as potholes. We'll continue on. You want to keep that infiltration out. And then the chip seal would come after that. So we try to seal the cracking, and then our crews want to seal the entire surface of the road. So this is really where we use our description to a lot of groups of the sunscreen on your arms before you go to the beach. You want to protect yourself from the sun. Same thing with the road. The road can quickly oxidize just by weathering, especially radiant heat, the temperature created by the sun, and then the sun itself just dries it out. You start getting worse and worse conditions. And so we try to seal that whole surface prior to that. So this isn't a structural preventative maintenance. It's not like a paving where you repave it and you add more structure and strength to the road. This is simply just a sealing effort. So we have a little picture here on the next slide that will actually show the crew performing that maintenance. So the liquid asphalt is spread. That's the black liquid you see in front of the machine there. And then we actually spread chipstone, and then that's spread by the machinery, and then it's rolled in, and inevitably we sweep it, and then fog sealing will occur shortly thereafter. And so now a little bit further than preventative maintenance, we're going to talk about resurfacing. So Brent focused on that quite a bit here recently. So there are two types of resurfacing for us here in the Washtenaw County Road Commission. Pulverizing and paving a section of road, that's where a road has made it to the poor category and doesn't have good structure remaining. So we pulverize that road, reshape it, build good subgrade, good structure underneath that road, and then pave over top of that. And for sometimes our fair and roads that are right on the edge between fair and poor, you see our milling and resurfacing program throughout the county. annually. So that is where we take the top few inches off. So usually 3 inches or less of the existing wearing course. And then we add another asphalt material. That's the pavement. We pave that in asphalt right over top of that. And then at that point, we kind of essentially start the process over again, where we start patrolling it for crack sealing and then chip sealing again, trying to keep those good roads good as long as we can. There are some unpaved road benefits to our program as well that we refer to as resurfacing. And that's where most of the township groups will understand from the local road program we complete every year, where we just resurface with the aggregate, whether it be 22A road gravel or 23A limestone. So, and we have a picture here at the bottom right of the screen that everybody can see that are joining us remotely. That's the process of spreading the material with a contractor. We use our graders to shape that material. And then we inevitably roll that in, just similar to a paving project, a little different type of roller, but we roll that in. And then that crew is completed and that road is considered resurfaced. That gives us more wearing time on that type of road. So an unpaved road, you're somewhere between 10 years or so that you return for those projects. So similar lifespan to a paved road, but a little more, less compact in the stones move about. So we reshape that routinely. So you see that a lot in our maintenance programs throughout the summer. We refer to as dust control. And then with that, I'm actually going to release us here for a 10-minute break, and then we'll return for some continued millage plan discussion.
One thing I will add, as we were talking these various treatments, I think it's important to emphasize magnitudes dollar-wise. So on a 2-lane county road, a crack seal could be 5,000 to 10,000 a mile, depending on how many cracks you have to fill. It's a material cost. Mm-hmm. And then a seal coat, I think on the slide it was roughly $40,000 a mile. And then when you get to resurfacing that top layer asphalt, that's $200,000 a mile. It gets really expensive. And then when you get to the poor condition, you're talking about a pulverize, and then typically you're talking resurfacing 2 courses of asphalt. That's roughly $400,000+ a mile. So the magnitudes are quite big. Like Brent mentioned, when you're doing car maintenance, it's a lot easier to pay $100 for an oil change rather than thousands of dollars for an engine repair. So that's important as we're talking about these and extending the service life of our road network. These low cost treatments are why we are where we are. We do like to get to those poor roads eventually as funding provides, and we do get that funding through this important millage. But a lot of those miles covered over the 200 miles over the course of the 4 years has been that preventative treatment or resurfacing. So thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
We'll just take a quick 5-10 minute break. Welcome back for those online. Now we're going to kind of go over the 2025 to 2028 millage plan. So what we know, this is not a new tax. As I said and mentioned, we've been doing this since 2014, so 10 years now. It's the beauty of this millage, in my opinion, local dollars invested locally. Doesn't have to go to Lansing and then come back to the county. These are dollars that are raised locally, invested locally. The other key issue, I think, that's difficult to understand for our taxpayers and voters is no one else is going to solve this issue for us. A lot of talk about infrastructure and funding. In 2021, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, IIJA, was signed into law by President Biden. It was a great, big investment, and it was a good thing. But the reality is that the dollars invested in the county road system, we don't see a lot that come our way. Just our normal federal funds, which are significant, but the needs far outweigh the federal funds that we receive. And then there's been discussion at the state level for many years now, Governor Whitner's rebuilding Michigan. It's a bond program, $3.5 billion being bonded and invested, but the investment is in our state highway and bridges. So that is another one that people will hear about and will pay for over the course of many years to come, but that is not being invested in the county system. So our needs on the primary and local system far outweigh the funding that we have in Michigan. So this helps us to keep our roads in good and fair condition. It also helps us leverage other funds. So we have a map, and that's what we're here to talk about with you about, is to receive feedback on this draft plan. As we've highlighted in previous years, each millage dollar that's raised in the townships will get reinvested into the townships. So on this map, we have various colors. The colors represent the year that it's going to be, the project's going to be funded. And then in the pamphlet handouts, we have tables. The tables are sorted by construction year and then sorted by county, district, and township as far as location goes. Then it talks the name of the road, the limits of the road, the type of work, and it's all those things that we talked about, Brent and Adam shared with us, whether it be a seal coat or mill and resurface or pulverize and resurface. Then it's got the length of the road segment, the cost of that road segment per mile, and then the total cost of that project. So the goals of this plan focused on mainly the primary roads. Again, we put the money back into each of the communities. The biggest driver between our millage, I've been told it's the gold standard by some, is that it's accountable. We have accountability built in before the voters vote for it. So we know exactly what the projects we're going to work on for those 4 years, and we go execute. We also will provide reporting on a yearly basis at the end of the year. We look at the year in review, look at the work that's been done. We submit to the county for reimbursement. And so there's a lot of accountability, or some will say receipts for that money that we get through the millage. It is a variety of treatments that we perform. Again, it's the name of the game is extending that service life of the roadway through the variety of treatments: chip seal, mill and overlay, pulverize, resurfacing. And then we don't want to forget about our unpaved primary roads. We have approximately 80 miles in our county, so we include resurfacing of those as well. Here's a breakdown of the financials. Property values have increased. So with it being a renew and restore, we do get a little uptick, which is great because the cost of our projects continues to rise. We are battling inflation as well when it comes to construction materials and hiring contractors for those paving projects. Fortunately, a lot of our preventive maintenance, whether it be crack seal or seal coat, we can perform with our own forces, but still we're all battling that inflationary costs. So we are getting it a little bit more. It generates a little over $10 million. 4.6 will come to the road commission. And again, it's broken out into 80% into roads, 20% into non-motorized, overseen by county parks. So cities will see $3.5 million a year, and then $2 million approximately will come to county parks for non-motorized projects. So some of the projects that are listed in this plan, Workner Road between M52 and Sibley, some poor condition payment there that is going to be pulverized and resurfaced. You see Dixboro Road between Huron River Drive and Geddes Road. That's a picture of a fair condition, but we're starting to see block cracking. So that one's time for a mill and resurface. We've got Bemis Road. It's there's various sections of Bemis Road, which are in both the border of Pittsfield and York Township that is scheduled for resurfacing. And then we have Rossonville Road, both in Augusta and Ypsilanti Township, end of service life, poor condition pavement. This one would definitely be a pulverize and resurface. But we've got a few more listed on the sheets, but I will only go through a couple of them. And I'll turn it over to Coy, kind of talk about some of the non-motorized projects in the millage plan.
Thank you, Matt. Similar to what Matt said, we have a list of projects. It's in the orange folder for the next 4 years. Two of the primary projects shown here are a connection in Dexter. It's in Mill Creek Park, crossing Mill Creek with the reuse of the Bell Road Bridge. So a historic bridge. The Road Commission, I'm obviously very familiar with the project that was pulled out just north of Dexter years ago, sat for many years on the banks, started to deteriorate. In partnership with the Road Commission, we were able to pull it out of there, refurbish it and store it, and looking for the right place to use it. So we are planning to put it in the park in Dexter, crossing Mill Creek. And again, this is a port connection connecting our trail system that we built up to Dexter to Chelsea. After this segment's complete, there'll be one gap basically in the middle of the Dexter Chelsea connection that we have yet to fill. The other one, the Barton Bandimere Tunnel, the goal is actually to get that done yet this year. If not, it will likely be in 25. This is a project that has been a big demand of the community for about 25 years now. The city of Ann Arbor, Washtenaw County, it has been a priority, as well as Amtrak and MDOT, because right now there is a surface crossing of the rail line that is so popular, it's one of the most dangerous on the MDOT Amtrak line because of the number of people who are crossing it to get to the park. So this will provide a safe park connection from the Barton nature area into Bandimere Park by going under the railroad. We have this again fully funded thanks to the millage and private support and a partnership with the county and the city of Ann Arbor. Next slide, please. And this just shows one of our what's going to be our most active segment of the border trail in the next 4 years. This is from city of Dexter into the city of Ann Arbor. Kind of historically, the border trail, a lot of our projects early on, going back 25 years ago, were in the Ypsilanti area, where we made connections between downtown Ypsilanti, Washtenaw Community College, St. Joe Hospital, and EMU. In more recent years, we switched over to the west side of the county, making the connections around Chelsea and Dexter and up north through Linden Township. This area shown on the map is the most difficult and the most expensive for obvious reasons, with the river and the railroad and Huron River Drive, trying to thread the needle and get a trail through here. It's also the most popular and high demand area, as you can imagine, with all the cyclists and pedestrians, and tying together all the local parks with the metro parks in the area. So there's a reason this was kind of saved till last. It is the most difficult, and we're focused on filling these gaps and making this connection in the next 4 to 5 years. Just to orient you to the map, we're just off the south there. You can see Zebra Road between Bridge 3 and Bridge 4. So just recently, we were able to extend the border trail all the way to Zebra Road, and under construction is moving it all the way through to Bridge 4. And you can see the dark segments here are already constructed. And I also forgot to mention, when we were talking about connecting communities, you don't have to look far for a connected communities project. The Zebra Road pathway was one of our first connecting communities projects. So yeah, that's just the kind of focus of the border trail for the next 4 years. And then connecting communities, we will continue to provide the funding of $600,000 per year for local communities to complete their important projects.
Thank you, Coy. So the request has been made to the Board of Commissioners, the Road Commission and County Parks passed resolutions in October, making the request to renew and restore this millage. Again, it will be 80% going to roads, 20% to non-motorized, with a specific project plan that we've outlined here. We're also working with the cities on project plans as well. If you're interested, I certainly have the bulk of the cities available. I know the city of Ann Arbor, their project plan. So if you're interested, let me know. But our goal is to be placed on the August 6th state and local primary ballot. I've got some news most recently this week. It sounds like we're going to be on the agenda for the County Board of Commissioners working session meeting this March 6th, I believe. And so we're looking forward to heading downtown for that discussion. And so shortly thereafter, we're hopeful that there'll be a first and second reading and then a request to put it on the ballot. So the next steps, like I said, this is the first of 3 education workshops. We're going to have another one or 2 more on March 13th and 14th. We would ask it to consider passing resolutions of support. If you would be willing to do so, that would be great so that we can share it with our Board of Commissioners. And then elected official comments, we'd like back by the end of March. So if you've got comments on the plan, we want to swap roadways, or you've got a different priority list, or look at years, we can try and accommodate those requests. Have a conversation on that. For our board, the Road Commission board, we're going to be presenting that revised final plan at the April 16th working session meeting. So that's where then we'll get an approval to move forward with that plan. And then hopefully at that point in time, we'll have seen the action, or shortly be close to having final action by the BOC to get it on the ballot. Once we know it's on the ballot, there's a big effort after that. We need to educate. As government, we cannot advocate, but we can educate. So we can tell voters, if you were to vote yes, this is what it would look like. And the way we do that is we have a page within the Road Commission website. Our website is wcroads.org. And we've got a road millage page, and we'll have the plan as presented today, the tables. We'll even have information from county parks, information from the cities, so that people can be well educated on the subject. We'll also schedule a public meeting, much like this, so that we can educate the public on the millage. We'll do media outreach, social media education as well. And then this summer, we're going to continue the efforts of doing our projects with road and trail signs. You'll see those brought to you by the residents of Washtenaw County, those green and black signs on our projects, along with sometimes we get other creative signs as well. With that, I'd like to open it up to question and answers if anybody has any. Tiffany?
Okay.
Is there anybody online with questions?
No, we do not have questions as of right now online.
Okay.
Okay,
Tell us your township,
1 second, hold on.
the difference between mill and resurface and pulverized resurface. Does that have to do with the underlying base, or what is the dividing line between those two? Because they're very different in expense.
Sir, can you step to the mic and ask
I can
your
repeat,
question?
I can
please?
repeat the question.
Okay.
So the question was, the difference between a mill and resurface and pulverize and resurface. Ultimately, the mill and resurface are those fair condition roadways where the top course of the asphalt has not broken down too back. And it's, all of our asphalt roadways are usually multi-layered. So there would be 2 or 3 layers of asphalt. So the mill and resurface are those fair condition roadways. They don't have alligator cracking. They've just got some block cracking. It's about ready to go down into that poor category, and we can save it by just milling off the top layer of the asphalt and repaving that top layer. So it's usually about 1.5 inches or 2 inches that will mill down and replace. The pulverize is that pothole-ridden pavement, that really poor condition pavement that we've seen some of those pictures where the distress is so far gone that it would do no good to mill off that top layer and replace it. You have to get rid of all of it. So instead of getting rid of it, oftentimes if we have the ability with open ditches, we'll pulverize. And what that means is it basically grinds up the existing asphalt, mixes it with the underlying aggregate, and that provides a new base. And then after we grade and shape that new base, we'll pave 2 more layers of asphalt. Usually it's 2 and 2 inches, so a total of 4 inches thick. So that's why the price is generally twice as much as a mill and resurface. No problem. Any other questions?
I do not have any questions online.
Okay. Are there questions specific to any of your township projects? Sure.
Amber's Linden Township. Of course, I'm always interested in what we can be doing for the non-motorized grants, and if you have some suggestions for Linden parks that we could work on, we'd be more than happy to work with you on that.
We're happy to explore some ideas with you. So we're happy to explore some ideas with you. If you want to meet.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will also say that even in our project plan at the road commission, some of our, we will have non-motorized components for our plan. We'll oftentimes be widening shoulders, especially if we're doing a pulverization. We'll look to widen shoulders. So that is deemed to be a non-motorized component. If you go from a 1 or 2 foot shoulder to a 4 foot shoulder, that's obviously a better situation for anyone that's riding a bike. So we are oftentimes trying to incorporate non-motorized into those polarization projects.
That's what you just 30-foot right away.
That's correct. If the road base will allow for it, generally speaking, we're trying to widen those shoulders out. And that helps selfishly for the road pavement itself. So when you have a lot of truck traffic, sometimes they'll ride the edge and it'll break off. So paved shoulders are a very good thing from a maintenance perspective or a user perspective as well. So getting paved shoulders on some of our narrower county paved roads is a good thing. So that way we're incorporate that into our plan as well.
Just really more of an announcement. In Linden Township, we have formed a local roads advisory committee, and Adam and Scott have been very helpful on that. And we have decided to host a Fix the Dank Gravel Roads Day, which is going to be on Saturday, May 4th. We will have a grader from the road commission, and we will also have the Chelsea District Library is going to be participating with their mobile unit, and Chelsea Area Fire Authority is going to have a fire truck out there. So this might be a good opportunity for you to share some information about this millage, and maybe other municipalities or townships would like to have something similar.
Thank you.
We've always had a great, I've always had concern about people not understanding what the gravel road situation, you know, they maybe move from an urban area, come out to live in this rural area on gravel roads and don't understand that it takes a lot of money and care to keep it going. And when you have a small township budget, it makes it feel difficult, but I just figured the more educated that people are about the conditions of the roads, I think it just helps a lot with communication.
Yeah, and I appreciate you highlighting that and bringing that topic to a discussion point. And it will, you also hosted, the township hosted a gravel road education event that I attended with Adam Lape. And it's important to know that these gravel roads are in need of investment, because the gravel roads, and Adam, if you want to take this one, you know, every couple of years,
Yep.
it's in need of investment. Go ahead.
Yeah, so depending on your traffic, your average daily traffic, a gravel road can see its lifespan go a little shorter than you'd like. We'd all love them to last forever, but the reality of it, it's usually 10 years or less. And so we've focused a lot of that, trying to educate the local roads advisory committees kind of throughout the county, and the teams similar to York Township as well. We're not an advisory committee, but we go around, we look at the roads, we talk about specific roads in that area. Because it does change from its dynamic from one group to another. So you have to balance that and really set your asset management plan for your local road system. We set that, on that daily traffic. How often is that road going to finally break down to the point where we got to add more aggregate to it? So, and I do appreciate the compliments. It's been a pleasure working with a lot of the townships. We're really doing good things with that. I think understanding roads is the start, in the local road system needs help as well, because inevitably the funding can't find its way all the way to there. So we're incredibly thankful and benefit tremendously from the partnership from the local townships. So it's great to work with everybody. I do appreciate that, but unpaved roads do wear a little faster than a paved road. So you see our routine maintenance out there throughout the season as best we can, weather permitting. We try to keep those roads maintaining a good shape to try to keep the water off of them. So it's very similar to what I kind of talked about with the seal coating, the chip sealing portion of our project, where as long as the water's away from the road, you can make a road last for a little while. So we work really hard for that. So it's a little more challenging on unpaved though, because the road continually moves. Every time a car goes by, the road moves a little bit. So it's simplistic, but complicated when it comes to funding. So I do appreciate the partnerships.
Thank you, Adam. Any other questions? Yes, Diane.
But I was curious about, the Plymouth Road. Did it go to the middle of that interchange, the actual Ann Arbor boundary, so past the, northbound ramp?
Yes, so our certification will go up to, so the question was on Plymouth Road in Ann Arbor Township, we have a millage project identified for 2025. And I think that scope of that project is, let me out, the seal coat. Yes. So what we would tend to do is go to our road certification. So typically our road certification goes to the bridge. So that bridge structure is the divider. So we'll go to the bridge and then work our way east. Oh, that's a good question. And that seal coat, it may be crack seal, it may be seal coat, depending on the complexity. So east of Dixboro gets a little simpler, but that section between Dixboro and US 23, we may have to look at crack seal depending on how we manage that volume of traffic. Seal coat, it gets a little tricky. Typically we'll close and guide cars and have traffic control plan. With that amount of lanes, we may have to look at just crack sealing. So we'll huddle up and figure out what's the best course of action there. But really, that's a good pavement in fair condition, and we want to keep it that condition or better. So we've got that section of Plymouth Road from 23 all the way to the county line through Ann Arbor and Superior Township as a project. Yes.
No observation. We had a couple of subdivisions, of course, the subdivisions are starting to get 30 years old or whatnot, and the pavement is starting to wear down.
Mhm.
We had two subdivisions, who, big little repayments we could go. We had, crack sealing. And the quote was, higher, the actual price came in much less than what we quoted. You invested in the quote, that, haven't you? I believe.
I will go ahead and turn it over to Adam, and you can explain our crack sealing, especially on the local roads, how we go about that.
Yes. Best for local subdivisions, it's not very much cost, but it does extend the life of the road if they catch it in time.
Yes, thank you, Chuck, for that. Yeah, so our crack sealing process, we actually rent the machinery. Obviously, it's our staff and our equipment that pulls it, but we rent the actual, what we refer to as the kettle. So that's what heats the material for us. We rent that because we don't want to have to pay for the service where they sit. There's a lot of service involved with those units because there's a lot of material in there that as it cools down, it could become stuck in the unit. So we rent a new one every year. That's why we're able to be so efficient when we go out to the jobs. And most times they do come in under estimate, which is great. That helps really stretch the dollar and we get a lot done. But I do appreciate the compliment that the preservation that it provides in a subdivision is phenomenal for for the cost. And traffic control is limited. Doesn't need much, doesn't require much. Our crews are safe there working within a subdivision. So we can usually move pretty fast through there. That's another thing that makes the project a little bit cheaper because of the efficiency.
Yeah, typically on low volume local roads, we'll have our crews do the crack sealing. When it comes to primary roads, typically we'll do a bid out for like the multi-lane primary roads, and we get a contractor to do that work. But it's still very cost effective, very cost effective. And in subdivision work, it was noted that the age of these subdivisions, when we look at the Paisley ratings for our subdivisions, there are a lot of poorer condition subdivision roads out there. Each township approaches it somewhat differently depending on their financial situation. Some townships will do special assessment districts. Some townships will fund through the general fund. It just really depends. I would say by and large, the majority of our townships will use that special assessment district tool in the toolbox for funding those. And we're happy to do that in partnership with our local road program with our townships. We have an economies of scale and we can hopefully package multiple jobs and do it through our countywide contract. But each one's unique, and if you've got questions or interest, we're happy to meet with the residents of the community and or township members to talk about that SAD process. Any other thoughts or questions? Tiffany, nothing from online?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, there'll be a slight break, but thank you so much for coming. We're going to end our hybrid meeting and adjourn. Oh, next slide. Here we go. There we go. With our contact information. Thank you for the heads up there, Tiffany. Want to end with that. We've got our contact information on the screen. If you aren't able to capture that, you can reach out to our general line number and to give us a call, and we'll be happy to provide this to you.